Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to episode 92 of the Falcoholic Live. I am your host, Kevin Knight, joined tonight by two wonderful co-hosts. First of all, Mr. Adnan Ikic at Say Which Way, and also, you know him, Evan Birchfield at Evan Birchfield on Twitter. We are here to recap that just wonderful Saints victory that was just thoroughly enjoyable from just about every angle, from an on-field and off-field perspective. And we're also going to talk about some of the injury updates this week, some of the coaching changes and how those paid off, and then, whether or not this game actually influences our season expectations or not, because we're still sitting at 2-7, which is, obviously not great. So before we get into it, do want to check in with my co-host first off. Adnan, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing very well. This is a show I've very much been looking forward to, and I have my Chick-fil-A ready to go because Atlanta over everything, especially after this week. We're not eating any Popeyes chicken sandwiches out here.
Yeah.
Only the Chick-fil-A ones.
Yeah, at least for a week. Like, you have to leave a week's time there. That's how long the embargo has to last. And, just to celebrate the heritage here. And also with us tonight, Evan, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I wish I had a Chick-fil-A milkshake, but I just have a water, so not as great as Adnan, but pretty good.
We can't all live up to Adnan every show. It's too tough a task. He's got the gun show going over there, and we just have to do our best. But let's get into this game. It's exciting stuff. The most complete performance that we've seen all season from the Falcons just so happened to come at the perfect time to dethrone a hated rival in the Saints in their building. Thorough dressing down of this opponent. The Falcons' defense was good, like really good. I mean, it was. I don't know what happened there. I mean, it was incredible. The offense was good enough. They cut down on the majority of the errors, and there weren't nearly as many penalties. I mean, the offensive line blocked well. They got 6 sacks. I mean, there's so many places to go here. Adnan, why don't you kick us off with some of your biggest takeaways from this surprising victory?
Oh, my goodness. I don't even know where to start on this one. I mean, I went into this. I'm never going to go into a Saints game picking the Falcons to lose, no matter what. I don't care if we're going out there with a JV football team, which is what we've looked like for most of the season, by the way. It was a complete 180 from everything we've seen throughout the entire season. I mean, had you told me that one team would have 95 yards worth of penalties, I'd be like, what the hell? The Falcons are back on their BS from like week 3 against the Colts.
Right.
But, I mean, it was just the Saints kept shooting themselves in the foot, and the Falcons kept taking advantage of it. And everything worked. Everything. A three-man rush. Three-man rush is completely worked out in this game. By the way, I still hate the three-man rush.
Yeah, my feelings haven't changed towards a three-man rush, but it did work, to give them credit.
Yeah,
so.
it worked, but oh my god, I don't want them rushing 3 on every third down. There were these emphatic, methodical drives. Our scoring drive to Austin Hooper was 17 plays. We just kept breaking their will and breaking their spirit every single time. And do you know how demoralizing it is for a defense and for a fan base when the team just converts 3rd and long every single time the way the Falcons did? And it got to the point where it was like 3rd and 8. They completely perfectly cover everyone, and then Matt Ryan just scampers for a first down on that bad ankle, and he scampered for a first down on a 4th and 4 as well. The pass rush got there. Caleb McGarry completely dog-walked Cam Jordan. Jordan was nowhere to be found. Like, I just couldn't believe what I was watching. The Falcons went into this game as 13.5-point underdogs, and they won it by 17 in New Orleans. And you know that the Saints overlooked the Falcons. You know that they completely... The coaching staff may not have, because Sean Payton's too experienced for that, but the players completely overlooked the Falcons. And they got busted up for it. And I can't wait for Thanksgiving because, like I said, I'm down to lose every single game for the rest of this season as long as we beat the Saints again. And I just want to give a shout out. I know whenever the refs screw up, we rightfully destroy them.
Yeah.
But the refs did a fantastic job in this game. Like, not even any rational Saints fan is complaining about their team getting flagged for over 90 yards, because every single call was justified. Every single penalty was correct. And it was stuff that the Saints have been getting away with in New Orleans for years, and they just didn't get away with it on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hats off, props to Dan Quinn, to Olbrich, Raheem Morris, who was calling third down plays, the entire coaching staff, and even Dirk Cutter on offense. I mean, it worked out.
It worked.
I still hate those first down up the middle runs, but it worked out. And, next man up now, we'll talk more about the injuries later on, but Jaden Graham and Brian Hill have a golden opportunity right now. Next man up when it comes to coaching as well with Olbrich. So, just a fantastic win all around. And, I mean, I loved every single moment of it, and I rewatched the highlights last night, and I just indulged in all of it.
Yeah, it was a great game. And welcome to our new viewers. Dexter Vlash says first time catching this live. Happy to have you, man. Welcome. Welcome to our usual guys. Robert Kelly, Solaire, Blackbird Blitz. We even have a Packers fan in the chat thanking us for beating the Saints. So you're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh, go Packers, by the way, for the rest of the season, because everything that I am looking at for the rest of the season is solely to hurt the Saints. I want the Packers to get that 2 seed, and I want the Saints to be condemned to have to go to Lambeau Field in January, if they even make it that far in the divisional round, because there's some flaws on that team. Yeah. I would love to watch Drew Brees have to play in a blizzard. And when they go up to Lambeau Field, I hope it's like 12 degrees and an absolute blizzard in that game.
Yep. Yeah, that dome team, it's not going to be great there. That's going to be a struggle for them. Evan, I know you also have some strong takes on the game. So what were some of the things that you really appreciated or took away from that wondrous victory?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot more to add. Seeing, as Anon was mentioning, the pass rush, Grady Jarrett, I know it technically is 2.5 sacks, but it was basically like 3. He did most of the work, and like Vic Beasley kind of touched him, and that's why he got a half sack. But the whole defensive line looked great. Offensive line only allowing 1 sack when I think a lot of us were pretty nervous. I mean, realistically, not a lot of us thought we had a chance in this game. And then to come in and just, I mean, it wasn't even like we just squeaked by them or something.
Right.
Like we just beat them. If you watch the game and you ignored touchdowns in the score and you just watch the back and forth, we just look like the much better. Like we look like the 7-1 team, and they look like the 1-7 team. Didn't see a whole lot. Obviously I'm a Falcons fan, so it's not like I'm watching a bunch of Saints games this year, but didn't see a whole lot that was like, wow, this team's scary. I mean, they just force-fed Michael Thomas the ball, and that was like my biggest takeaway was, if you stop Michael Thomas, this team's going to struggle. I mean, Kamara, I know we were winning, but only 4 carries for 24 yards, and he's had some injuries and stuff, but that's no excuse, because then Latavius Murray actually outrushed him and had 5 carries, and he only went for 12 yards, and this dude, if you play fantasy football, has been a big fantasy football guy when Kamara was down.
Right.
The Falcons defense, I mean, they just played out of their minds, and it's worth, the obvious notion that there was some staff changes prior to the game. And I mean, unless it's the biggest coincidence ever, it took effect right away, because it was a totally different defense than what we've been used to seeing. Like, they were actually getting after the quarterback, something we've been, I think what's amazing about it is it comes in the game where, like I said, this was probably the toughest, in the preseason, looking ahead at the schedule, this was probably the toughest opponent, like the toughest game. You could almost mark it down as a hell, because it's such a tough environment normally. And then, we already know how the rivalry goes, that you're usually going to struggle on the road. But I mean, the Falcons, I think the biggest thing they did, they took the crowd out of it like very early. And there were moments where they kind of, something would happen, they'd flash a little bit, but I mean, they didn't do anything that was like, wow, this is a great 7-1 team. Like, I mean, if I'm other teams watching it, look what the Falcons did, and that's a weird thing to say considering how the season's gone. But,
right.
I mean, it was a great game, and as Adnan mentioned, there was some injuries, and I'm sure we'll touch on those later. But I mean, I don't know how you don't enjoy this whole week. It was glorious and unexpected.
Yeah.
And I just want to give a shout out to Evan on Twitter for making that Sack Lanta shirt, which was absolutely phenomenal after this game.
Yep. Sack Lanta.
Goodness. I think one day in my lifetime we're going to have a defensive unit that's worthy of being called that. So, I mean, you could say that you coined the phrase.
You'll be like 80 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be like the Titanic, like, oh, it's been 84 years.
Let's be honest. I'll be long dead.
It's all those like Chick-fil-A milkshakes, Yeah.
They have the hole in the roof, so you'll be able to look down on them. There
you go. Hey, thinking ahead. I like that. Appreciate that angle. But yeah, I mean, it was just a great game. I mean, from a watchability standpoint, the Falcons have been kind of hard to watch lately. They were better against Seattle, so there were some steps being made, and against Arizona, they were very competitive too. They probably should have won that game. So there were signs of life from the team, but ultimately, they were still failing, and it's nice to see them come together and get a win for the first time. They snapped a 6-game losing streak. That's a big deal. I believe this was like the first time in like 13 years that a 1-7 team beat a 7-1 team or something like that. So that's pretty incredible. I think they
said since 2003.
Yeah. So it was. I know this was the largest upset according to Vegas of the entire 2019 season. And it wasn't just like, oh well, they just barely squeaked out a win against the Saints. It's just one of those crazy divisional games. No, they dominated them. Like there was, I mean, usually in these games it's like you're biting your nails to the very end, and like the only reason I was biting my nails to the end is because I can't trust this damn team. But like, I mean, the game was over, in the fourth quarter. I mean, whether we wanted to admit it or not, like it was, there was no coming back from that deficit for them, they just struggled.
Kevin, while you're rattling off statistics, and I tweeted about this the other day, the New Orleans Saints had scored at least 10 points at home in 110 straight games before this one. That was one shy of the Indianapolis Colts' NFL record. I think that's a good 14-year streak that
Did
just
you say
ended.
110?
Yes, 110 straight home games.
Goodness.
So that's a lot of games. I'm not even going to crunch the. Actually, I will crunch the numbers while we're here.
While we're here, we might as well,
Well, while we're here, let me just emphasize 13.75. So nearly 14 years, 13 years and almost 14 seasons total. So that's easily since Sean Payton got there, maybe a little bit before then. But yeah, it was a streak that was that long, and it ends at the hands of us right before they were about to break it. Reminds me of when we broke Drew Brees' touchdown streak.
Yes.
Then he went on to throw a touchdown in 45 straight games after that game against the Falcons. So his streak, that touchdown streak, would have been completely untouchable. It would have been like Will Chamberlain scoring 100 points in a game in the NBA,
right?
Or NFL streaks had it not been for us. We also picked him off 5 times in that game, if I recall correctly, in 2012.
Yep.
So, yeah, no, that's just some fun with math and some fun with numbers.
Oh yeah, and it's always great to cause the Saints misery. I mean, there's only so much you can do in a season like this, and you just have to take the enjoyment where you can. And this is one of those rare moments of enjoyment. And it couldn't have come against a better opponent. If you had to cherry pick one game for this team to just use all of their good juju for the whole season, it would have been this game.
Please, 2
Yeah,
games.
2. Hopefully they saved a little bit for that next one.
Oh my goodness.
But
and it's not like they weren't trying. They were trying to pad those stats.
Oh
and
yeah.
Get that touchdown at the end of the game.
Yeah, they
really
were denied.
were.
Yeah, they were stuffed on 3 fourth downs. They didn't convert a single fourth down.
And Michael Thomas falls a yard short the way he fell short in the NFC title game.
Yep.
Catching
4 for 36.
4 passes for 36 yards.
Yeah, that should have been the maximum available contract. If that's how many 4 years, 36 million. That's what I would have offered. But That's what happens, when you only get 36 yards in the biggest game of your career. But hey, he's the best receiver in the NFL. He got 15 catches against Isaiah Oliver. So clearly he's helping his team in a big way.
I love fans who try to use catches to justify a quarterback or the best wide receiver. It's like using completions for like the best quarterback, or like using wins for the best pitcher in baseball. Like, that's a stat that just doesn't matter. If you want to look at an actual stat, look at yards per reception.
Yeah. No, Jarvis Landry is like the best NFL wide receiver of all time. Okay, look at how many catches that man had. Okay. Glorified running back.
That's the Saints fans' go-to.
Yeah.
Oh, but he had the most catches. He has the most catches.
Oh, man.
Nobody cares about your, like, Michael Thomas runs, like, one route well. And he just, like, keeps running it. I think it's like that slot post in the middle. He just runs that route. It's only that. I think it's like one tweet. If you need 7 yards, Michael Thomas will get you 8. If you need 15 yards, Michael Thomas will get you 8.
Yeah, exactly. Very consistent in that regard. So I know folks are asking about, the play calling change and how big of a deal that was. And, we did learn this week that the initial change to the play calling happened in week 6, where linebackers coach Jeff Ulbrich took over the first and second down play calling, which, weird decision when your third down defense is the worst in the league, but, whatever. And then as of this week, Raheem Morris was taking over the third down and 2-minute drills. And, I mean, it was measurably better. It's kind of hard to really say after just one game if that's going to be something that can hold up, or if the team just kind of pooled all of their collective, wills together to just pull out this win against the Saints. But, the secondary played their best game of the season by far. It like I was saying, I mean, Isaiah Oliver gave up a bunch of catches to Michael Thomas, but it didn't matter because the Saints weren't able to convert. They weren't able to keep drives together. They weren't able to make the plays when it mattered. And, credit to Oliver. I mean, he came up big on a couple big tackles to prevent first downs. And even though he kept giving up yardage to Thomas, it wasn't something that affected the game. I mean, the Saints only scored 9 points, 3 field goals. So, kudos to him. Demonte Casey just looks so much more comfortable playing safety. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Oh, my God. It would be irresponsible to move Demonte Casey back to corner. He needs to be the full-time free safety on this team.
Yeah. He just looks so much more comfortable. I mean, and that's another indictment, I think, of Quinn, that you say, like, okay, we're going to move this guy to nickel. And you see him play nickel, I assume, all training camp, and he's struggling, and you're like, well, that's fine. We're just going to keep it there. We don't have to move guys. Like, we can let guys play where they're comfortable, and I think it was them trying to make sure everyone could get on the field, but like sometimes it doesn't work out that nicely, and you have to, make tough decisions about, where do we play Ricardo, and do we play KZ at free or Ricardo at free, or it's tough, and there's going to be more tough decisions obviously in the 2020 offseason, but I was very impressed with the play of the secondary because that allowed, I think, the pass rush to really have time to get home that they hadn't had much of during the season. Grady Jarrett was obviously amazing. I mean, he's proving himself every week to be one of the NFL's like premier defensive tackles, like a tier below Aaron Donald, but he's like right there in terms of the top guys. Like 2.5 sacks. He was just causing havoc all day. So even Vic Beasley got a sack, for God's sake. I mean, this was like the game. If you could like check all the boxes of weird things happening, this one met those boxes. But let's talk about these coaching changes because, they did seem to bear fruit this week. The big one obviously being Raheem Morris changing back to defense after spending the last 2 seasons as the wide receivers coach. Evan, I'll let you take the first swing at this. I mean, do you think that part of the reason we saw improvement was because of that change, or do you think it's just a coincidence?
I mean, I think, as you mentioned, time will tell, but it's too... I mean, the defense was totally different, unless they just decided to, as mentioned before, save all their energy for this week, because if you compare this game to last game, I mean, something changed. It was basically the same personnel, but for some reason, you look at somebody like Kendall Sheffield. he looked incredible. I thought.
Mhm.
I think he was one of the big takeaways from the game. He looked really good. And considering coming out of the draft, he was one of the fastest guys I think he might have been the fastest according to 40 time.
Yeah.
It's a good sign going forward, and I think, for Dan Quinn to not be like, I'm not saying he doesn't have an ego, but to at least be like, okay, I'm gonna let these people, because apparently he was taking too much on his plate, and he delegated it to these guys, and I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say it's because of them, because this defense looked incredible. I mean, what was it, 6 sacks or 6.5 sacks? That was the total for the game.
6 sacks, yeah.
And then we had 7 before that?
Yeah.
Something like that.
We had 7 all season and before that.
Like, if that's a coincidence, it's a hell of a coincidence. It's just too, I don't know. I'm hoping. See, that's the thing. I don't want to get my hopes up, but I'm hoping it continues, because realistically, they could end the season at least on a note where we're not we're probably going to be disappointed because they're obviously not in good shot to make the playoffs. But
yes,
at least something. The top pick's probably going to be a pipe dream if they keep winning, obviously. But it was good to see. It was good to see a pass rush finally, and that's what we've all wanted. So if it was the staff changes and stuff like that, good. But we'll see.
Yeah, and the all the 1-7 teams won, so the Falcons only moved down in the draft one spot. So they're picking 6th now. So that ended up not being that big of a deal, thankfully.
Plus, we're the only undefeated team in the NFC South, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Or the NFC division.
Hopefully they can all win again on the week of Thanksgiving when we win.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that crazy? What if we won we just won out in the division? Just be the most Falcon year.
We'd have to win out to make the playoffs. We'd have to win out and go 9-7.
And the Saints would have to lose
5 of their next 7.
Yeah, 4 more after losing to us on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, which
I doubt.
Yeah, if they look like they looked, on Sunday, then maybe that's possible. But there's a couple of losses in there probably for them, but it's probably unlikely. And then the Panthers, I think, would have to lose 3 more games as well. We play them twice, so it's possible for us to hand them 2 of those losses. That would go hand in hand with the whole winning out thing. But
for what it's worth, I don't think this team will win more than 5 total games.
Probably not. Yeah, that would be a surprise after going 1-7 in the first half to even get there. So now, to be fair, they're probably not as bad as that 1-7 record. I think we can all agree on that. But it would be quite the turnaround for them to avoid a losing season, even at this point. So, and at that point, I'm not even sure that Quinn should keep his job. And I think he does deserve some credit for eventually just doing the right thing and giving up control of the defense to people that are better at calling the defense than him. And realizing that he was overwhelmed. That's a good thing that he did that, but it's also an indictment. You are not able to call, you can't talk and chew gum at the same time. You said you wanted to take over the defense, that this was your thing to fix. You got all the pieces for it, and then it was a disaster. So you gave it to someone else, and it got measurably better. Is that really who you want as your head coach? Honestly?
I think Dan Quinn should be gone. I said before the season, if this team doesn't win the division, he should be gone. And I'm not going to change my mind on that if this team wins 7 games just because they were so terrible in the first half. No, Dan Quinn should be gone. He should have been gone after the Titans game, but I'm gonna keep beating that drum.
Yeah, it's a more interesting question if they didn't just lose out the rest of the way and go if they end up at 7-9 or 8-8 or 9-7 and they win most of these remaining games, finish really strong, it becomes more of an interesting question. I still think that they need to make a change, and they need to make a change on offense too, because Cutter did helm the ship into serviceable waters this time, but I still don't think he's the right man to lead this offense into the future. But what are your thoughts on this? We've talked about it. We've now seen a couple more games since the last time we really talked about Quinn's job security. So where do you kind of stand on it at this point, Evan?
In my opinion, I guess it's a little different from you guys. It's I hate the Saints more than, we all hate the Saints, but in my mind, it's like if you beat the Saints, it's like 3 wins make us into 1. So it's kind of like we're 4-7 now, 5-7 now. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like I can see both sides, so I don't have an actual like view, and I know that's a boring answer, but I look at how the first the season's a wreck. Like even beating the Saints, we're not making the playoffs, which was the obvious goal considering our team, like our talent level is incredible. But you look at like a team like the Saints, they went 7-9 for 3 straight years from like what was it, 2011 to 2014 or something like that, or 2014 or something. But they went 7-9, 3 straight years, and didn't get rid of Sean Payton, and they've only won 1 Super Bowl, but it's kind of paid off to where they've been able to continuously make the playoffs, and I'm sure most of their fans don't want him gone. I'm not saying Dan Quinn's going to, get us back to the playoffs next year. It's just something worth thinking about.
Right.
I think obviously if you finish 4-12 or something like that, like you should be gone definitely. But I don't know. It's difficult to know because we're just, this game kind of opened some eyes. We weren't even having this conversation before. We were just talking strictly about, he's gone. And now the fact that it's even a conversation of, oh, did he just save his job? It's to be determined, I guess. Like
he saved his job probably for like a month at this point with a win like that.
And I see somebody's mentioning that Sean Payton won him a Super Bowl. Dan Quinn got us to a Super Bowl, and technically we should have won. So that's not, I don't see that as that much different. It wasn't like we got the Super Bowl and got whooped. Like we were in a position to win the Super Bowl. So I don't know.
Yeah, that makes some people want to fire him even more. So
as much as people want to pretend, he hasn't been a total failure. Like we've had some good success this year. Definitely last year, but we can't just ignore 2016. I know Kyle Shanahan had a large hand to play in it, but I don't see that as a bad comparison.
Yeah, I don't know if there's really a scenario where the coaching staff stays in place, because I think the expectations were to make the playoffs. But I think everything got shuffled because they were so bad that it pushed up the timeline to like, all right, so when's Quinn getting fired? And now that he's won a game, it's like, oh, well, is he going to get fired? The answer is yes, almost certainly he's still going to get fired. But Blank, I think, was never planning to make a change in season. Like, I don't think he really wanted to. That's not really his style. Now, if Quinn was like so bad like he was those first 8 games, you can't like just wait. At a certain point, you just have to make the change. But if he can win a couple more games, and if he can spread them out, so he can have a good game, a couple duds, another good game, that could easily carry him, I think, to the end of the season. But I just don't really see a scenario where he's the coach next year. And I think that's probably for the best for everyone, because it's just the team isn't going anywhere under him. I mean, when you preside over a disastrous season like this, it's not like he's a first-year head coach or anything. Yeah.
I think it would take a great finish, and the players basically, how apparently Julio Jones made some big speech a couple weeks ago. It would take the key players, not just like people who aren't going to be on the team next year, obviously, but like Vic Beasley coming out and voicing his opinion isn't going to do it. But if, like Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, those players really sold out and were like, okay, we need him back.
Yeah.
And they finished strong. That's probably the best chance he has, but like you said, I mean, the season before this game was a mess, so I don't know how he's even stuck around at this point. But
right, yeah, I mean, he would have to have a miraculous turnaround to save his job, and if it is like, say if they do win out or something crazy like that, then you could make a case for it. Like they go 9-7 after starting 1-7, and it's the team looks really good, and it's like, oh well, they had a bad start, but they're playing contender caliber football, like. Maybe then you could make an argument, but I think short of that, you just have to make a change. So.
I think you have to win out, get to the playoffs somehow, and then win a playoff game.
That would definitely save his job. That would 100% guarantee.
Because I don't know, I don't have it in front of me, but how many times has it happened where a coach has had a very underwhelming season, fired all of his assistants, all of his coordinators, came back, missed the playoffs next year, and wasn't fired himself?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
Like,
that's ever
I
happened.
don't. I think that's unprecedented.
Yeah. And it also, I mean, it does depend, to some extent on like who they think they have a chance to get, like whether they think they can lure Lincoln Riley. I know some people are talking about Kubiak.
Mike McCarthy.
Oh God! If they fired Dan Quinn for Mike McCarthy, I'm gonna drive down and egg the Falcons facility myself.
I think also this I forgot what his first name is, but I think it's like Stefanski.
Kevin
offensive
Stefanski
coordinator for the Vikings.
Yeah.
Apparently, there was a report that earlier this week that the Browns analytics department or whatever recommended him to be the hire, but I guess they decided to go with Freddie Kitchens instead, and that like pissed off a bunch of their fans. But
well, so Freddie Kitchens is a terrible coach this year. So
I'm just saying, guys, Jeff Fisher is still out there.
Jeff Fisher is available, so
he is very much available for us to poach.
Yeah,
maybe we can lure Mark Richt out of retirement.
Yeah, Mark Richt, Kirby Smart, take the call up. Yeah, but yeah,
we need some dogs.
We need. Go Dogs, sick them. Yeah, I mean it's rough out there, but I do think we've talked about this before that they should have a pretty strong case to lure a good coaching candidate. Unlike the Jets, for instance, hired Adam Gase, which that's a disaster.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have to be.
Apparently today they said they're keeping him in 2020.
Well, yeah, but that's as soon as your owner has to come out and say we have confidence in the coach, you're like T-minus 6 weeks from being fired. Like, almost always there's the vote of confidence and then you get kicked out. So that would not shock me either. But that whole franchise is a train wreck. So I wouldn't put anything past them. But yeah, I mean, I would love Gary Kubiak. We've been talking about Kubiak for years. That would be great. It would check all the boxes, right? Experienced head coach, great offensive mind, scheme matches what we have in terms of personnel, has a ton of connections around the league, can assemble a staff easily. I mean, yeah, that would be perfect.
Plus, his son's with the Vikings, isn't he? Isn't that why he ended up there?
I think so.
Maybe his son would come over and
maybe be like the name offensive coordinator, but it would really be
Gary.
And
then who knows? Eventually, Kubiak wants to retire. Boom. Assuming it worked out.
Pass the torch, Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you set up your family. I respect that. Like Bill Belichick is making.
That's what I think they're doing too. Yeah.
Yeah. He's making news about how he's saying that his son is calling all of the defensive plays, which I mean, I doubt it. I doubt that, and even if he is, I doubt that. It's without very, very heavy influence from Bill himself. But Bill is like, he's setting his son up for a defensive coordinator or head coaching job down the line. Got to take care of family out here.
That's basically what Mike Shanahan did, right?
Yeah, but Kyle's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he started with his dad at
Washington.
He
did,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Schottenheimer's son, I think's the Seattle offense coordinator, isn't he, or something?
Is he? I can't remember.
Yeah, Brian Schottenheimer.
Yeah, Brian Schottenheimer. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a disaster at Georgia.
Yeah. Anybody but Rex Ryan. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, let's just throw all the random names in that.
Who's also the son of a coach.
There you go. Yeah.
Let's bring in Rob Ryan.
Rob Ryan, exactly. Yep, that's what we need. We need Greg Williams. He'll make sure we never rush 3 ever again. That would be one positive from that.
He would try to rush 13 somehow.
Yes, he would put Keanu Neal like deep, like 30 yards deep, and then send the house.
Yeah, as opposed to Dan Quinn, who drops everyone.
Yes, let's rush. If he could rush only one, he would, and it would be Tyler Davison.
Let's go from one extreme to the next.
Yes. Oh yes, wonderful times. But yeah, I mean, I think that on the topic of coaching changes, like I do think that the Falcons are maybe giving a chance to these other coaches to see if there's any potential there. I think that this defensive stuff with Ulbrich and Raheem Morris might be a kind of low-key signal that they are looking more towards offense for their head coach, and they could potentially offer up some in-house names to be a defensive coordinator. They're familiar with the system, they know the players, all that type of stuff. It could be a signal that they're looking at potentially a college coach that maybe doesn't have a bunch of NFL connections. in offering him some potential defensive coaching hires, because I think Raheem Morris, he's a guy with a lot of experience. He was a head coach for a time. He's been coached on the offense and the defense. I think that the players like him, so that could be a potential possibility, but that's a lot of speculation at this point too.
Okay, but what about Bobby Petrino?
Oh man, let's just dial up the controversy to 10,000 on this pod.
Where is he right now?
He's in a secure bunker.
He's driving his motorcycle
somewhere. Yeah, I don't think he's still coaching. Is he?
No, he's just dropped off.
Any school that would offer him a coaching spot deserves what they get at this point.
Yeah, definitely. So, no one mentioned Jay Gruden. Yeah, probably not.
I was working my way there.
Yeah, we were working up to it. Just the most outlandish names we can think of. No Josh McDaniels either, please. Don't.
I mean, we could give Jay Gruden a similar contract to what his brother got in Oakland.
There you go. Yeah, that's definitely going to work out. That's definitely going to work out for us, I think. Let's see. So what? After watching this game and seeing that the Falcons actually can look like a competent team for once, does this game affect your perception of the season at all? Does this game change your expectations for how the team finishes, or do you think this is just kind of a nice, happy little blip on the radar at this point?
I'm going with the nice, happy little blip on the radar. I think we have enough of a sample size out there of this season with this coaching staff to where I think it was just a coincidence where we just used our silver bullet in this game, and if we were going to use it in any game, it would be this one. So I think everything just worked out. Please continue to try to rush 3 for the rest of these games. It will not work out the way it did in this one. But, it was a high point of the season for sure. And at least we'll have something memorable to take out of this season, if nothing else.
Yeah, potentially. And what are your thoughts on that, Evan? Has this game changed your thoughts at all?
I mean, we got to see more, I think, just to add, we got to see more depth, or guys who might be good eventually. Like Brian Hill, who's now going to take over. He looked pretty good. Kendall Sheffield, as I mentioned earlier, Russell Gage looked pretty good. But I mean, it's not like we learned anything new. We knew we had some talented players. I guess the big shock was just the defense holding them to 9 points. I don't think anybody would have bet on that happening. Right. It was just absurd. But
yeah,
I think we're going to know more. It sounds kind of stupid, but I think we're going to know more about this game after the Carolina game, because we really don't know what just happened. It was a great miracle, basically. We don't know if this is something that's going to continue. Probably not, but I think we'll have a better feed of it next week, and then definitely into the next week, and it'll give us a better idea of, okay, that was just a fluke, but, it was exciting, so who cares? But if for some reason they go out and destroy Carolina, it's okay, now wait a second, what?
Right.
What's going on here? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we'll see soon, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think anyone should get their hopes too high based on this game. I mean, obviously it was a nice performance. It was nice to see the team actually look good, not just we're holding on in the game, but legitimately good. They didn't need last second heroics or Nelson Aguilar to drop a pass or anything like that to win this game. They dominated all 4 quarters. It was a whole team performance. I mean, there were certainly things you could nitpick about it, but it was their best game of the season by far. It probably will be their best game of the season. So that's nice to see that the team to me, I think it says that maybe the team isn't as bad as their record shows. They're probably not that bad. They're probably not as far from competing in 2020 as people like to think when they see the 1-7, 2-7 now record. But I think in terms of this season, I mean, I think it would be doing yourself a disservice, folks, to really expect them to string together a bunch of wins now. I think that they're probably going to finish, between 3 and 5 wins, like you guys have mentioned. They'll get a few more. I mean, anyone can beat the Bucks. The Bucks are imminently beatable. They'll have a great performance one week and be terrible the next. So you could always steal a win against the Bucks, and the Panthers, I think, are competitive but beatable. We play Jacksonville. You can get a win against them. We're probably not winning that San Francisco game, however, so don't get your hopes up there. But it's more. I think I agree with you guys that this is probably just a nice little blip on the radar to enjoy. But it's not a signal that their fortunes in 2019 are going to make a massive turnaround at this point. So I know people are asking about the players that were worked out, and as well as the players who were injured. So let's get to some of that talk. We knew that Austin Hooper and Devontae Freeman both left Sunday's game with their respective injuries. And as far as Austin Hooper, I think there's been conflicting reports about how much time he's going to miss. I know someone announced that they thought it was going to be a month, and then the team came out and said that wasn't from us. So I think we know he's probably not going to play this week, probably not next week, but other than that, he could be coming back at any time. And then Freeman, I think they described as week to week, or something like that. So these are two players that are meaningful, probably Austin Hooper more so than Freeman at this point. Adnan, I'll go to you first with this. How much do you think the loss of those two players is going to affect this team in these next couple of weeks?
Well, Devontae Freeman, not at all, because we're used to him being hurt from the past 2 years, where he just always constantly gets injured. And I'm still baffled at the fact that we didn't trade him when we had the chance, and instead we're probably going to eat that dead money for these next 2 off seasons to come. So great job by Thomas Dimitroff right there. Austin Hooper, however, it will really hurt because Hooper has proven to be Matt Ryan's main security blanket. This season he has been an absolute all-pro level tight end. And I'm not even saying that as an exaggeration. He has been fantastic. Most touchdowns among all tight ends. I think he's top 2 maybe in yardage. I'm not completely sure there. I know he's number 1 in terms of fantasy points scored for tight ends, for what that matters. But yeah, we're gonna miss Austin Hooper for this next month. I'm excited to see what Jaden Graham can do. He's the next man up. He has this golden opportunity to really stake his claim for a tight end spot going into next season, because he's going to be in a big time competition once again next preseason for that tight end spot. And if he has a good showing in these next few games, then he can maybe bypass that competition a little bit. So also Brian Hill has his opportunity right now, and this will be a great story. Someone who was a 5th round draft pick, who was cut, who was on Cincinnati's practice squad, and who made his way in a return, had a great training camp, a very good preseason. He has an opportunity to really make his mark in this backfield right now. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, I think Brian Hill would be a very valuable member of a running back committee that I hope we run next season without Devontae Freeman. But yeah, I just am very excited for the next man up, for these 2 young guys who really have this opportunity in front of them. And don't be scared, just grab this opportunity right now that you have it.
Yeah, we all know that it's Jane Graham's going to get 1 target, and Luke Stalker is going to be force-fed 8 targets this week. Yeah, so, But, yeah, obviously we hope that, we get to see Jane Graham, because he was so electric in the preseason. He was their best receiver in the preseason. I mean, it was crazy. So that would be cool to see. Obviously, Brian Hill is another name to keep an eye on. Evan, you have any thoughts on the 2 guys missing time and who might be stepping up in their absence?
Yeah, I mean, not much more to add. Brian Hill, he's looked better, statistically and on the eye test. Just looks, it's going to be exciting to see him going forward. I mean, when Freeman went down, he got 20 carries, so that shows the confidence the team has in using him. And Allison was active, I believe, against the Saints. So yeah, they pretty much they didn't even bring him out, in a winning by that much too. He didn't get any carries. So it looks like the Brian Hill show going forward, and I'd say he deserves it. And everything you hear about, from players about him, that comes out in the media sounds like, he's a good guy. So good for him. Yeah, I agree though. Hooper is going to be obviously the biggest miss, because I mean he has, a lot of people don't like to say it. They, in past weeks have called it garbage time stats and stuff like that. But I mean, he's leading the league, or among tight ends, leading the league in touchdowns. His yardage, he is behind just Travis Kelce, and then receptions, he's tied with Travis Kelce. This guy's trying to get paid regardless of where he is, if he comes back with us or not. So I imagine he wants to get back on the field, because if he ends a season right now, like, he's got good stats for right now, but I'm sure it's going to cost him some money, because people are going to be like, wow, he, basically was out the rest of the year with, what is it,
I believe it's an MCL injury. Yeah.
MCL sprain or something like that. So, I mean, he's going to be the biggest miss. I believe he'll come back. At least it makes sense to me. Even in this, losing season, it makes sense to come back to show you don't want to have that injury prone thing, tag above your head. So, I think he'll come back. But, I don't think Freeman will be a miss at all. And I think actually the running game might improve, but that'll be determined. So we'll see what happens. And maybe Allison will get some play. And then, they use Kenyon Barner a little bit too. So we'll see what happens. But not having Ito Smith kind of sucks, because, this is where he would be coming in and showing off. But, hopefully he comes back healthy, or whatever's best for him.
Yeah, because that's a big concern with his, concussions now on IR with that neck injury. So we'll just hope for the best for him, obviously. But it is exciting to see Brian Hill. I mean, he's a hot fantasy commodity this week. Everyone picking him up. And we could get Chris Lindstrom back here in the next couple weeks, which might be really big for the run blocking. So I think with Brian Hill as the lead runner and Chris Lindstrom coming back, soon, we could see a resurgent running game. The interesting thing is, if Brian Hill shows out, he's a free agent. So, you wonder if the Falcons could even afford to keep him at that point, or if some other team offers him, $4 or $5 million a year to be their running back, and the Falcons don't really have that type of money laying around. Because at that point, if Hill walks, you basically have to draft a running back next year. So that will be interesting to monitor. And then I do hope that we get to see Jaden Graham finally get some targets, because Luke Stalker ain't going to be on the roster next year. You can save $3 million by cutting him. He hasn't been good, so you move on there. And I think Graham has a lot of potential, and I would love to see what he can do. With some real game action. And we know there's not another receiver on the roster. Luke Stalker's not really impressing anyone in that regard. So give the man a chance. Free Jaden Graham. And then Ollison, are we ever going to see Ollison? What does that man have to do to get an opportunity in a real NFL game? It's just, for a guy like Quinn, who he came in his first season and it was just all rookies all the time. 2016, we started 8. There was an absurd number of rookies we started on defense in 2016, and now it's the opposite. We can't get our rookie running back on the field until 2 running backs are on IR, and even then he's still not taking any snaps. We can't get our third tight end, who was an undrafted free agent, who was really impressive in preseason, more than a target or two throughout the whole season. It's just bizarre to me that we've had such a change to it's like Quinn's become Mike Smith, He's oh no, we can't play the young guys. I'm too worried.
Can I ask you guys something?
Well, if you go ahead.
Oh, no, you can finish your thought.
No, I was just going to say, if you guys read my Dante's Inferno article, you guys would see the comparison.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to ask, what do you think about they picked off practice squad what's his first name? Or it's Tuati Mariner.
Oh yeah, Jacob Tuati Mariner.
But Sanat, I mean, he had 16 snaps on defense, but what's going on with Sanat? He hasn't been active this whole time. They literally grabbed a dude from the practice squad and.
Well, I think I know the answer to that, and it's that. Tuati Mariner actually didn't play defensive tackle. He played defensive end. He played edge. Because Kaminsky was hurt this week. I know Tuati Mariner is technically listed as a defensive tackle, but he's an Adrian Claiborne kind of tweener type. So I think that was the actual reason, but I'm all in on like the conspiracy theory that they just hate Dietrich Sanat too. So I think we can say both with authority. But yeah, I do want to point that out, that I think he played more snaps on the edge in this game.
Makes sense.
But Kaminsky is also that type of guy that would play on the interior a little bit and on the edge. So, but yeah, I mean, I that is a good question. Like, why can't we see Sanat? You know, especially when you're 1-7. Like, you know, give a guy a chance to like get on the field. But
no, I think he parked in Dan Quinn's spot back in March. And Dan Quinn is just punishing him. He's holding this grudge.
Yep. Yeah, they will never find a way, you know, to get Dietrich Sanat out there. You know, once you park in Dan Quinn's spot, there's no going back.
Yeah, well, whatever team Dietrich Sanat signs with next, Dan Quinn is gonna go over there and coach just so he can bench him again.
Just so he can mess with them. Yep.
And it'll just be that vicious cycle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, I think Solaire's onto a good thing too, which is that, you know, it's, you know, this wasn't the only example of like the coaching staff making bad decisions. You know, Dirk Cutter came in and talked about how much he was gonna, you know, adjust his playbook to fit the West Coast offense and all this, and it's like that was a lie. You know, like he stopped running West Coast concepts in like week 3, and it's been basically four verts, you know, typical Dirk Cutter stuff ever since. And you know, there's an insistence on running up the middle. This is not a team that's built to run up the middle, like, at all. Like, I know we got 2 big guards, but they were like big athletic guards. That was the whole point, so they can get out there and pull. Like, not so you can run your, you know, power stuff up the middle. Like, this is not a power run team. Like, let's just be like, sure, Brian Hill could do it. Like, he had some success doing it, but it wasn't ideal. It wasn't efficient. You know, we just need to do better than that. And I'm disappointed in Cutter, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I think you guys feel the same way, but I don't know where this is going, but I was just mad about Cutter. So go ahead, Anna.
Oh, I was gonna say it probably won't matter when we bring in that offensive-minded head coach,
Mike McCarthy, baby.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy is gonna be calling the plays. You know, he won't be there for film review. He'll be getting a massage in the upstairs office, but come game day, he'll be on the sideline.
Oh yeah, he's a proven winner. Okay, like
yeah, he won that one Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, in his prime,
doing
you know.
Everything.
And it's just a coincidence that the team got better after he left, but
yeah, and it bought him like 7 extra years.
Yep, that's what happens.
Had we won that Super Bowl, Dan Quinn can be here for like 7 extra
years.
I don't
Yeah.
care.
You know, overstay your welcome. Just win the Super Bowl. That's all I ask.
Yeah, just give me one.
Yeah. You know, we have to at least get the one before we start nitpicking about coaches getting too much time after winning. So we have to win first, sadly.
Yeah, well, we're not Eagles fans. We're actually grateful. They're over here wanting to
run
Doug Peterson out.
Yeah. It's like the Eagles haven't even been that bad, okay, guys? Like we were 1-7 for God's sake heading into this week, heading into last week, and Eagles fans are calling for their coach to get fired. It's like,
yeah, I take Doug Peterson here as our head coach.
Yeah, let's do it. You know?
I mean, some Rams fans are trying to drive Sean McVay out. Like I said in our group chat, if they are dumb enough to fire Sean McVay, Arthur Blank needs to be at his door with a dozen roses and a box of heart-shaped chocolates.
Yeah. Well, they should blame whoever told them that offensive line was going to work, because I think everyone could look at that offensive line situation in Los Angeles and say, this is not ideal, like what you're doing here. You know, you can't just let like 3 offensive linemen leave in the offseason and be like, well, we've got a couple 4th-round picks. You know, we should be fine, because that was a disaster. And also, you know, we should probably blame Jared Goff, who's just painfully average as a quarterback.
He always has been. He can't even call his own audibles.
Yeah. I mean, I was always a little bit skeptical of giving Goff that sort of money. I think he was, you know, I think he's dependent on McVay to look elite. I think he can be like an average quarterback, but he gets so flustered under pressure. I just think it's so hard to succeed in the NFL if you can't handle pressure. Like even Matt Ryan, who I think is good at handling pressure, doesn't even play that great, you know, under pressure all the time. So
he owes half of that money to McVay. Oh
yeah, I'm sure that there's some sort of hush-hush agreement there, but but you know, and then we have Matt Ryan, but that's, you know, according to some, you know, some very, very special fans among us, you know, Matt Ryan is actually the problem with the team, and that's why the team isn't good. So We could have Jared Goff, okay? Like, remember that, folks. Remember that. We could have Jared Goff right now. Imagine how bad this team would look with Jared Goff. So the only reason they've even been watchable is because of Matt Ryan. But hey, all
We'd
right.
be the Dolphins for the past decade, if not for Matt Ryan.
Yeah, it'd be the Bengals. Because the Dolphins have won 2 games now, so the Bengals are the new, whipping boy of the NFL. But yeah, it's been an interesting year, that's for sure. Don't really know what else to say about
Dolphins could have had Drew Brees and Matt Ryan. That's crazy.
Yep.
Technically.
Dolphins gonna dolphin though.
Or just like give Brees, or just give Brees and then still take Long, and you're good. But oh no, it's the shoulder. So then they let Brees go to New Orleans.
Yep.
I think they got Dante Culpepper. That worked.
Dante Culpepper.
Yeah, I mean,
UCF, let's go. Yeah.
they were fine with Chad Henne in the second round of that 08 draft. He was just as good as Matt Ryan, apparently.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh man, all the takes, the long forgotten quarterback takes, they live forever. Yeah, guys, before you take off tonight, please do throw us a like. That is appreciated. It helps other folks find the show, and then if you're not already subscribed, that's a big help to us as well, and it gives you the benefit of being able to know exactly when these shows are coming up. You'll get a little notification if you want. You can actually mute the notifications if you're not a notification fan. Totally understand that. We do appreciate those and everyone for tuning in. Yeah, before we sign off, though, guys, do you have any final takes you want to rattle off this evening? Any draft takes? I know people were asking if we had any draft takes tonight, so we got any like draft takes you want to rattle off here to satiate the people?
It's November 13th, man. Like, no.
I think it's hard because we don't know where we're gonna be.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think we'll probably be in this like 4 to 7 range somewhere. But
I mean, you hope, but
I just don't want to think about the draft until January. It's like nice, it's fresh now, but it's going to get oversaturated come the off season, where it's going to be just nonstop, just draft takes over and over again. And I'm not giving power to that right now. We're not starting that right now. But we are.
I already started it because I'm a degenerate, but that's why they're clamoring for the draft takes. Is because I got it started. I got the ball rolling. But yeah, I mean, and to answer all the questions I know you guys have, I don't know. Chase Young getting suspended for taking a loan from a family friend and paying it back is not going to affect his draft stock.
Here's the thing. Chase Young should be ashamed of himself, and I think no team before we're pick 6, right, as of now.
Yeah.
No team in the top 5 should even consider getting Chase Young. They should let him fall to 6.
It's a red flag.
It's a big red flag. You can't trust the character of a man who takes loans, okay? You can't trust the character of a man who takes loans to have his girlfriend watch him play football, okay?
We need to punish Chase Young by not having him go to Cincinnati and instead having him go to Atlanta.
Yes, that would be the biggest punishment I could think of. So,
make him not play for Dan Snyder and the Redskins.
Yes, I mean that would be great for I think everyone involved. But yeah,
that would be a waste of talent.
Yeah, you guys know I also like Jeffrey Okudah. I think Derek Brown is obviously a very good talent. Grant Delpit at safety. Like if they don't bring back Keanu Neal, I guess you could bring in Delpit. That would be kind of interesting. A top 10 safety is something that is, a little rich, but we've seen, the impact that really elite safeties can have. So Grant Delpit is certainly that. So that would be an interesting way to go. But yeah, I mean, they have to get an edge player and the top, 2 picks. They probably need to get a cornerback too. And then, another offensive lineman to kind of continue this offensive line rebuild, preferably like a center. That would be great. But, we'll see where they go. I have a feeling, we're going to have probably a new GM and a new coach and all this. So we're really going to have absolutely no idea what they want to do.
We're really going to be going in blind this offseason.
Yeah.
Like, normally you're looking at it and you're like, all right, this is a Dan Quinn guy. This is someone I can see us getting. But, like, this is absolutely just a blindfolded dart throw.
Yeah.
In terms of analysis right now.
Yeah. So if we can do one quick draft, scenario here, where let's say the Falcons are picking 6, and the Jets, I don't remember where they're picking. Let's say the Jets are picking like third, and the Jets call the Falcons and say, hey, we're going to take Chase Young, but if you trade us your early second, your first second round pick, you can move up to 3 and take Chase Young. Is that a trade you would make?
Instantly.
Yeah. I think that probably isn't not asking enough.
Yeah.
But
maybe if they're like, all right, we want your first, of course. We want both of your seconds this year, and then your second and third next year.
That's probably
then
too
it's
much.
like, that's closer to where it is. I wouldn't trade 2 firsts to move up, but
I think
it's a long, hard thought.
I think you might have to trade. You're gonna have to trade that early second probably, but it's only it might only be 2 to 3 picks, so we're not talking about a huge trade up. But it probably depends on how many quarterbacks. Like if the quarterbacks go 1 and 2, the Jets' value at that spot, they're gonna struggle to get great value there. If they're looking to add one of the top offensive tackles, they can't really afford to drop much further than that. So it could be interesting. It could be legitimately interesting. Like if they want, Andrew Thomas or whatever, or Tristan Wirfs or whoever those great offensive tackles are, but they don't really want to take that guy at like 3
in comparison to the other players.
Yeah.
Because like what we know, this isn't just a quantitative by the numbers thing. If everyone sees Chase Young as a player that's a lot better than everyone else in this class, it's going to cost more.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it always does. So
not draft related, but did you guys have any thoughts on the international thing?
I mean, it sucks to give up a home game.
Yeah.
I don't mind international games otherwise, but I wish that we didn't have to give up a home game.
I'd be cool with playing an international game if it was us giving up a road game instead.
Yeah.
But I've never been a fan of giving away home games.
I believe the last time we did that too.
Against the Lions, where we were up 21-3 and then blew that game, and apparently it was just a sign of things to come with this franchise.
Yeah, I mean, being up any number to 3 has not worked out very well for this team. So.
All I remember from that game was it was like a 3rd and 17 that we had them on, and then Matthew Stafford found golden tape for a 52-yard touchdown.
Yep.
On that 3rd and 17.
Sounds
and also
exactly
Matt Ryan
right.
had one of the ugliest interceptions of his career.
Yeah.
It was just a bad game overall. It's one of those. It was one of those Mike Smith unraveling games. It started out with that one. We went into that Browns game where he called a timeout because, and I quote, "If I didn't call a timeout, they would have."
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, that's the point. Oh man, let's not.
Yeah, had we won those 2 games, had we won those 2 games, we would have won the division without having to win that Carolina game. We would have beaten the Cardinals in the playoffs with Ryan Lindley, and then Mike Smith would have been our coach for
that would have been his second playoff win ever. So
Yeah, he would have been fired eventually. I'm going back and forth on it because he would have been fired eventually. We'd have a completely different head coach right now, but also 28-3 would have never happened.
Yeah.
So I'm leaning toward I would have rather that scenario played out.
Yeah, maybe in that scenario, Kyle Shanahan makes his historic run with some other team.
Yeah.
And then the Falcons are really bad in 2016. They fire Mike Smith in 2016, and then we hire Kyle Shanahan as our head coach in 2017.
Yeah. Or maybe we hire McVay after 2015.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about, all right, we have one of these brilliant young head coaching minds, and right now we're 8-0.
Yeah, just crushing it. Yeah, that'd be nice, but it's unfortunate, that's not the case. But hey, we're gonna have a new regime here soon. We're gonna, be hope springs abundant, forever. So yeah, until the next time we go 1-7. So hopefully it's a lot.
Next year?
You mean next year, baby? Line it up, run it back, run it back.
We'll be sitting here at this very stage talking about the draft again.
Yes. Well, hey, don't get my hopes up too much. All right.
Yeah, every single year we're competing to see how early draft season starts.
Yes. I don't know if it's going to beat this year. You can't really go. There's only one. You can only go one game worse than 1-7. So, I guess if we had a later bye, maybe we could end up at 0-8 or something. That would be faster. Yeah. But yeah. No, I don't think so.
Somehow it'll be the end of September and it'll be draft season.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's about all the like bad memories I can dig up for one night. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Before we get out of here, though, I do want to thank my co-host for helping out tonight. First off, Mr. Adnan Ikic. You know him at Say Which Way on Twitter. Adnan, anything that you're working on you'd like to let the people know about?
I have a weekly column of what if the Falcons win/lose, and also my fantasy football stud and dud. And I also write the write-ups on how the rest of the NFC South played, so check those out.
Definitely, guys. That's some good hashtag content there. Exactly. Hashtag brand, hashtag content. Okay, corporate needed me to say those words today, so they're going to be satisfied. Also with us tonight, Evan Birchfield, at Evan Birchfield on Twitter. Evan, anything that you're working on you'd like to plug?
I do a fantasy article on Fridays, a tweet recap on Mondays, so if you do say anything funny on Twitter, be sure to tag me or send it to me. Any funny tweets really will get you in there.
Anything at this point.
It just recaps the game, so in this case the Carolina Panthers game. And then me and DW do the post-game podcast, which usually comes out on Monday or Tuesday. It's recorded right after the show, so it's like instant thoughts and analysis and whatever. And then just have a good rest of your week, and thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for having me, Kevin.
Absolutely, thanks for coming on. And you guys know me, Kevin Knight at Falcoholic Kevin on Twitter. I've got my usual articles this week. I'll probably do something draft related for Saturday, because I know you guys are craving the draft takes. Solaris says, Evan, you need to make a Dave Meat shirt.
Yeah, that's what I was
get on that.
I don't know what a Dave's Meat shirt is, but
yeah.
Oh, you missed the draft show.
Yeah. Hashtag Dave Meat. Yeah, like Dave Cho is who he's referencing.
Yeah, it's you had to be there.
Yeah, you had to be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that will be, whenever we start the merchandising, that will be at the top of our list, I promise.
I don't think Dave will sign off on that one.
Well, he doesn't need to know about it. If the fans do it, we don't have any control over that.
Well, there's a lot of Dave too, so it's not really copyright.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's okay. Dave doesn't watch the show anymore.
Yeah, Dave never tunes in, so we should be fine there. But yeah, we do appreciate you guys tuning in. We're hoping for the best with the injuries. We're hoping for an enjoyable finish to the season. One that results in a pretty good draft pick, but also is reasonable to watch. That's my hope.
And also we missed it, but congratulations to Younghoe Koo for being named Special Teams Player of the Week. So keep on kicking. Yeah,
Younghoe Koo. Hopefully he can be the new Atlanta kicking sensation. That would be cool for a lot of reasons.
The best number 7 the Atlanta Falcons have.
Yes, that'll be sure to go over great with the fans. But yeah, great breakout performance for Koo this week, NFC Special Teams Player of the Week. As Adnan said, that's cool to see. I'm glad that he's getting a chance here, and hopefully over the next 7 games we'll get a good look at him to see if he can be the kicker of the future. We don't have to spend a second round pick to draft somebody. So.
Shouldn't do that either way.
Yeah.
Shouldn't do that anyway.
We'll go out and hire Jason Light, and he'll make sure we get our kicker of the future, one way or another. Yeah. All right, guys. That's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you for tuning in. We will be back on Sunday after that Panthers game to recap things, so check out that post-game show. And then after that, we'll be back on the following Wednesday. Until then, you can follow the show on Twitter at Falcoholic Live. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. We do appreciate that. And yeah, we will talk to you guys soon. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will see you on Sunday for some Falcons football. Have a great night, guys.